Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to FMSCOUT. It is RDF and today's video is all about the match engine improvements that Football Manager have released yesterday. Yes, on their website they released a blog of the match improvements that we are expected to see in Football Manager 2021. Now, that has been the most anticipated news wait for all of us. Yes, for all of us. I have done a few Football Manager 2021 feature reviews, and in the comments most of the people just want to see some match engine improvements, so those people should be happy to see that finally we have some news on that. Before I start on this video, if you are new to this channel or you haven't yet, please a subscribe would be much appreciated. So yesterday, Sports Interactive revealed the improvements to the Football Manager 2021 Match Engine in a blog post yesterday. They promised we will immediately notice these improvements from the moment we enter our first match. So that is a very big promise from Football Manager. There's an extra level of added depth to decision making, which led to improvements across the pitch with improvements in player movements, a refined marking system, a renewed focus on the midfield action, and goalkeepers being more adaptive to the environment around them. So first off, let's talk about the decision making. Players and officials are each making a decision every quarter of a second, and that is called a slice. In Football Manager 2021, players will now be able to change their original decision mid-slice as the situation around them develops. This allows your players to be more reactive and make faster decisions, but not just faster decisions, hopefully better decisions all round. Decision making was one of the things that for me in Football Manager 2020 let the game down generally, or just the match engine generally. When you are watching, it was so frustrating to see players with high decision making make such poor decisions. Of course, I'm guessing that the game creators have noticed that themselves, hence the improvement on that side of things. The next improvement is defensive awareness. Marking in Football Manager 2021 has greatly improved. With the improved decision making, defenders can now react more intelligently to the opponent's attacking movement and can now pass their marking duties to another player, whilst that defender then closes down another player as the attack unfolds. If I am marking the opponent's attacker and I choose to go and close down another, I can now pass my original marking duties onto another defender, which is something that just did not happen at all in Football Manager 2020. What you would actually see is a player marking an attacker. He chooses then to close down another attacker, which originally leaves that marked attacking player now completely unmarked and free. They have said that this will occur in both open play situations and in set pieces. The attacking in the final third has also improved. They have improved the positioning of both attacking midfielders and strikers depending on their role. Will now look to come to the ball a lot more often to offer support for their teammates. So now if you are using a false 9 or a deep lying forward, what you should see now happen a lot more often is those players dropping deeper into the positions that they are supposed to in order to collect the ball and perform their duty or role to how it is supposed to. Now generally in Football Manager 2021 you will see a lot more improvement to the movement in the final third, as attackers will look to create space and or exploit gaps in the defensive line. When one-on-one with the keeper, players should now make better shot selections, of course based on their skill level and of course based on the angle of the goalkeeper positioning. You are now likely to see more dinks over the goalkeeper. You'll also see a higher percentage of players passing and not shooting from tight angles, which was a huge frustration in Football Manager 2020. Of course, I am not a game creator. I don't quite understand why this wasn't fixed quite early on. In Football Manager 2020, in the early release, it was just easy to see that this was a huge issue, and I don't understand patch after patch after patch why this wasn't fixed. But again, I am not a game developer. I do not understand these things to a T. But it is nice to see that finally in Football Manager 2021 we will see improvements on that side of things. Another big thing is the central play. The midfield action was being bypassed way too often in Football Manager 2020. So for 21, there will be greater emphasis on the central play, and that results in more authentic flows to events in the central areas. If you are using a ball-winning midfielder, you are expected to see a lot more ball-winning midfield actions such as interceptions and just, of course, ball winning. If you're using a playmaker, what you should now see is your playmaker being used a lot more often and to a better extent. But not just that, what you should see now is players focusing a lot more through those playmakers. Your players should now be taking more risks and have a greater focus on getting the ball to your playmakers so they can have an effect in the central areas. Of course, if you are using a playmaker in the central areas. Players will now actively look to block passing lanes rather than following the movement of the ball. They have now rebalanced the risk taken from players in central areas, and defenders are now more aware of the threat in central areas and will react more instinctively to those scenarios. So thank God for that. I wouldn't say the central play in Football Manager 2020 was awful, but we could see a lot of improvements to be made, and it looks like Football Manager 2021, they are going in the right direction with these improvements. These are improvements I am excited to see, and I cannot wait for the 10th when that beta is released to see these improvements, as they have promised we should be seeing them from the get-go. Finally, is the goalkeeper intelligence. Goalkeepers in FM21 will now be quicker to go to ground in certain situations. Goalkeepers are now more conscious of the time that they have to position themselves for an opponent's shot. They are now likely to try more aerial interceptions by coming out to claim crosses, depending on the attributes, and may look to punch the ball more often as well. So in real life, you would notice that keepers are coming off the line a lot more often than maybe they used to. So now you are seeing goalkeepers coming off the line to try and catch the ball a lot more, or punch the ball a lot to try and release the pressure of the defense. This is something that we should be seeing a lot more in Football Manager 2021. Now, in Football Manager 2020, I personally didn't have much complaints about the goalkeepers. Of course, they did a few silly things, but at the same time, we have to remind ourselves this is a game, it's not going to be perfect. And I believe that nailing a goalkeeper down in a game is going to be very, very difficult. As you will see in multiple football games, that goalkeeper situation is very, very difficult to pin down. But Football Manager have made some improvements on the goalkeeper, which is very, very nice to hear, and it's something that I am looking forward to. Attacking players will now go to ground more easily. I'm not exactly sure I'm happy about that. Of course, it's more realistic, but that is actually something we want to cut out from the game, not encourage, if you know what I mean. That is something that I don't really want to see, so that is something I'm not actually excited about. In Football Manager, it seems that they are going to be using VAR more wisely and more effective generally. I think in Football Manager 2021, we actually might see more of the VAR being used. But again, that is something I'm not generally excited to see. Maybe you guys are, but I'm not really excited to be seeing my players go into ground more easily or seeing VAR intervene matches much more frequently. Now for the final word, which I will be dragging from the Football Manager blog itself, the improvement to the AI in Football Manager 2021 Match Engine will be immediately noticeable from the moment you enter your first match. The action should feel a lot more unpredictable, a lot more fluid, and it should just have that more realistic feel to it in general. The extra level of depth they have introduced to decision making has led to improvements across the pitch, which should naturally happen. That should be a given, with new variations in player movements, a refined marking system, a renewed focus on midfield action, and goalkeepers that are more adaptive to the environment around them. We can't wait for you to get stuck in Football Manager 2021. I cannot wait myself, and the match experience should be much greater. So in the comment section, you can tell us how you feel about these improvements. You can also tell us if you are looking forward to it, because I can tell you for one, I simply cannot wait for this game to be released. But that is it for the video. It has been RDF. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. It has been nice speaking to you. I also appreciate the support given. I see you soon. I'll speak to you soon. Peace and love.